I don't know about you, but what I know for sure is that I don't want to depend on one paycheck forever. But like most ambitious professionals, I really didn't have a destination besides make more money, retire someday, build wealth. And after months of trying to figure out why accomplishing the next thing never seemed to get me off the hamster wheel, I finally gave the destination a name. And it's the ability to work by choice and not necessity. This video is for you if you still feel stuck after trying to earn more money, after chasing shiny things, and none of those seem to cure the ick that you have about working and about your job. We're going to talk about what the work by choice journey actually looks like. So the story that we were sold is that financial freedom is a destination. And if you keep working hard enough and if you keep setting crazy goals and you keep trying to accomplish all the things, that at some point you will land in this destination of fulfillment, freedom, happiness. And all you have to do is find that magic vehicle that's going to get you there. But for me personally, after pursuing real estate, after doing side hustles, after coaching, after consulting, after everything I've done, I've come to the realization that the freedom that we were looking for, it doesn't come from one decision. It doesn't come from one single avenue that you go after. It really comes from the decisions that you are making over time. It all boils down to the journey that you've been on. I was having a conversation with my manager about what my next assignment would look like at the company that I'm currently at right now. And after giving it some thought, I really realized I'm like, it's not the assignment. It's not the work. It's the constant hamster wheel feeling of the whole thing. It's like, when do I ever get off? And we wonder why we look forward to vacations or, extended periods of time away from work. And it's like, what we're really looking for is some sort of break. We're looking for somebody to give us permission that it's okay to take a break. So that's why it was so hard for me to pinpoint with my manager what my next assignment should be. I'm kind of like tapped out a little bit. And so when I go back to this being about the decisions that you're making, I really had to sit and think with myself. It's like, what decisions do I need to make right now if I want things to look different? If I want to get out of this constant looking for a break, looking for a vacation, like what decisions do I need to make? And so out of that exercise and that conversation, I made a decision that my goal was no longer to escape work. It wasn't to quit my job. It wasn't to, even sell all of my real estate so I don't have to do that work. The goal became very simple. The goal became to build enough options so that work was a choice. Because let's think about it. Sometimes you actually enjoy the work. Sometimes going to work, having a new project, sometimes that's what you need to bring in fresh energy and to get inspired again. So I get it. If you've been feeling this way and people been telling you that you're lazy, that's not it. Because I feel you 100%. Sometimes you want to work and sometimes you don't. But the reality is most of us don't have our finances in order to be able to make that decision. Just this past weekend, I was with a couple of friends and we were talking about how the world is very unsettled right now. There's gender wars going on. There's race wars going on. There's a literal war going on. And it's like, what is happening in the culture right now? And we came to the conclusion that the culture is all messed up because women were put here to nurture and create and set standards. But we can't do that because we're so busy working. Now, that is the real. It's like, we're so busy working and trying to make a living. We're not really focused on that. And because of that, our children are suffering. The generations coming up behind us, nothing's being passed down. Everybody's just doing whatever they want to do. Everybody's in survival mode. And so immediately I'm like, that collides with the work by choice journey. Because if women could work in certain seasons and then be able to take seasons of rest, seasons to pour into their culture, into their family, into, other people who are inspired by them. If you weren't so busy working and trying to make $1, we would have the time to do that. And so I'm not a person who places blame anywhere. And so I'm like, what can I do to make that a reality for me? Because in certain seasons, I just simply can't take on more. And then in other seasons, I am killing it, like productivity through the roof. And I'm also thinking about what I'm seeing on social media right now with a lot of women looking for ways to rest and up and quitting jobs. And I understand it, but I don't really like the financial implications of it. I don't exactly think that we should have to blow up our lives and make a decision that, if you quit your job without the right support or without the right things in place, it could take you a whole nother decade to recover from that. So by no means do I want you to do that. But I do want us to start taking ownership and responsibility of what are the decisions that we can make to set our lives up differently. Imagine how regulated your nervous system would be if you simply remove the anxiety of I'm stuck here. Like that in itself, knowing that you have other options, knowing that I'm going to work this project and then I'm going to take a couple of months off, or I'm going to take the summer off, or, just having options at your fingertips of like, I know when I'm working and when I'm not working, I'm pouring into myself, working on my mental health, working on my physical health. Like, I just think it's truly, truly necessary in a time where everybody feels like they are in a pressure cooker. So ironically, I've been creating work by choice content from the very beginning and I just didn't know it. I've been talking about for years now, I've been talking about the effects of being laid off and how it changed the kind of employee that I am and the effects of depending on corporate to be your everything. Once I realized I couldn't have corporate be my everything, then I started investing in real estate. I've been sharing that journey as well. I've been sharing how I'm using AI to do more with less. I've been sharing how this is a journey for me, sharing all of my thoughts, sharing my experience, sharing everything I'm actually going through in the public eye on YouTube. I've been sharing how I'm working on building multiple streams of income through digital products. I've been sharing how, none of these things are possible unless you are confident enough to take action. I've been sharing my goals of investing more, finding true passive income because real estate is not passive income the way I am doing it anyway. And I'm like, what does all this content mean? Because for the longest time, it just felt like creative expression. It's like, these are all the things that are going on in my mind, but what does it all mean? And of course, I sat down with my favorite AI chatbot and I'm like, what is the through line that you see here? And what came back is that for months and for years, you have essentially been saying the same thing without giving it a name. You've essentially been saying, I like to work. I like to accomplish things. I'm a high achiever, but I don't want to be held down. I don't want to be trapped, and I will not let anyone else dictate and tell my story. And so it was really a weight lifted because I'm like, it isn't random that I've been talking about all these things. They're all talking about this journey that I've been on. And I was with a group of women this past weekend. All of my close friends, like if I really think about it, most of the people I spend the most time with, they're on the journey too. We haven't named it, but we all have these different things going on. And it's just the weight of not being flexible, not being in control of your destiny, so to speak. I was watching a video just a couple of days ago by Ali Abdal, who's productivity, huge YouTube channel. And he broke down why people hate their jobs, why people don't want to work. And it was so good. He's like, there are four factors that determine how you feel about your job. And it's your finances, your fun, your flexibility, and your fulfillment. And it's like when you look across all those categories, if you gave each one a ranking, I mean, you can clearly start to see why I like this or why I don't like this and why it just feels heavy. And so if I had to add anything to what he said, I think the categories are perfect, but I actually think finances and fun, those are the top two. Because if you don't have the finances and you don't come from money, like all of these are problematic. If you don't need money and you're not having fun, then you're still not going to want to do it. And so what happens is we end up settling for, okay, I got the finances and maybe I got flexibility. Maybe I get to work from home. So I'm not thrilled about what I'm doing, but it's good enough. It's two of those things. And then on the flip side, people will jump off the diving board and they're like, I'm going to go start my own business. And it's not about the finances, right? Now it's about the fun and the fulfillment. So I just think it might be helpful for us to level set with, this is what I'm up against. everything that I take on, I'm not going to get all 4 of those categories. Am I okay with getting 2? And then at least just being honest with yourself that this is what I'm getting out of this opportunity. So this is what I'm getting out of my job. This is what I'm getting out of the thing that I'm bidding on my own. This is what I get out of volunteering. This is what I get out of becoming an investor. Like really sitting with everywhere where I'm spending my time and giving my effort, what is it doing for me? And how is it helping me on my journey, whatever that journey is that I'm on? So now that I've named the journey, and when I think about my own path and everything I've been through, the work by choice journey has 6 steps. The first step is waking up. And that is when you realize that one paycheck isn't the plan. For me, that happened through layoffs. It happened when I first had to lay people off, and then it happened to me. The second stage is building capacity. If I know that one paycheck isn't enough, how am I building my capacity to do something else? So first I have to create time space, I have to create money space, and I have to have the skills to go do something else. After I have figured out extra capacity, because for a lot of people, that's where they get stuck. They can't figure out how to break away from working their job because they spend all of their time working their job. So once you have that, now step 3 is you have to start thinking like an owner. And that's when you become allergic to trading your time for money. You start looking for assets and things that can work for you when you don't feel like it. The 4th step is to create some proof. You have to start building evidence that another path is possible. The only way you can do that is by taking action. So if you've had it in your mind for some time that I want to buy my first rental property, or I want to start investing in stocks, or I want to start a community and build my personal brand, the only way you yourself will believe that that path is actually possible is if you start taking steps toward it. Because once you can look back on things that you've done and things that you accomplished, now you know the path is possible, and now you can just go all in. Step 5 is you're building your options. You are stacking assets. So for me, I have a lot of real estate, but now I'm trying to stack. I'm trying to have a couple $1 million in an investment account, liquid. I'm trying to have digital products working for me on my behalf. And now I've matured from having one asset class to now having many asset classes. And don't feel bad if you are just getting started. Everybody has to start somewhere. Pick an asset that you are interested in and get started getting those extra income streams rolling in. That leads us to the very last step, which is work by choice. Because once you have money coming in from all sorts of different angles, now you get to choose. Am I working in this season or am I resting in this season? And that's what we all actually want. And I'm not going to go too in depth in each one of these phases because if I'm being honest, all of the videos I create fall into these categories anyway. Now I'm just being more intentional about naming it. And then when I think about the digital products that I've created, they fall in these categories as well. So if you are at the beginning of your journey and you're trying to figure out how to build capacity, find the time, find the energy to even get something else going off the ground, you need to check out the Cash Kit. It helps you figure out where your money and your time are hiding and what you should do about it. If you decided that you are already thinking like an owner and you are acquiring assets, I created a real estate field guide for that. It's all the mistakes I made, everything I wish I knew before I scaled to 90 doors. And then to hold myself accountable to creating proof that these other paths are possible, I created From Confidence to Cash, which is everything I've learned about building in public, about monetizing the things I already know, the things I'm already naturally doing, and how that is becoming yet another layer of income stream. And so it's just so crazy that everything I've been talking about, everything I've been building, everything I've been putting out to the universe is all finally converging into something that makes sense. So if you're watching this video and you thought that you were chasing financial freedom, you were trying to quit your job, and you just couldn't get settled, what's actually going on is that you've been trying to create enough options so that you can make working a choice. And you didn't have a roadmap to follow. Because the reality is, it's very unlikely for you to just up and quit your job and then boom, whatever you start, it's making $10K a month. It doesn't happen like that. you need time, you need trial and error, and you need the right kind of experience before you take the leap and jump out on your own. And whether we like to hear it or not, that is exactly what our jobs do. Like, instead of being dissatisfied with your job, I would challenge you to spend the next 30 days figuring out what you can siphon, what skills you can take away from your job. What are the things that you've been doing that don't mean anything to you? Like, you do them so frequently, like you don't even notice, you don't recognize the value anymore. I would say start there. How can you extract the value from that? So instead of sitting there and not enjoying the experience and daydreaming and wishing you were off somewhere else, think about the value extraction, because the value extraction is one of the things that's going to help you on your journey that much faster to work and becoming a choice. So hopefully my ramblings about the work by choice journey today has given you a structured approach that you can follow to understand how you're feeling right now, why you're feeling that way, and exactly what to do about it. My name is Jerry, and if you're still here, do me a favor, give that like button a smash so we can keep building that confidence and we're going to keep building that cash. You can get a behind the scenes look at my businesses over on Substack at Confidence is Cash. And if you're ready to move from watching to taking action, all of the tips that I shared today are available in the Action Steps and Playbook. I create one for every single episode, and you can find that link down in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.